Hello and welcome to another episode of Startup to Scale Up. I'm Avni Raja. On today's show, we're putting the spotlight on a gaming startup called Hitwicket. First, take a look. Hitwicket, an Indian startup, is aiming to shake up the mobile gaming industry. Their mission? Bringing cricket fans an immersive digital experience. The company launched its first Android cricket game in 2018. Since then, millions have downloaded their games across major cricket nations. Now, this gaming startup envisions creating the best mobile game from India that the world has ever seen. And joining me on the show is the co-founder and CEO, Kashyap Reddy. Kashyap, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us. Let me start by asking you what started Hitwicket, what inspired it?
Thanks a lot for having me over, Avni. Pleasure to be here. So, growing up in India, cricket is more than just a sport. It's almost like a religion where it's all around you, right? And I've always been very fascinated by game design. And as a kid, I used to keep drawing board games in my notebook and all. That's how I grew up. Right? And I've always felt that, building a cricket game was one of the key thing that has always been like at the back of my head, something cool about cricket and something that everybody can play and enjoy. The idea has been there with me for a really long time. And so that's why, once I started getting into startup space, when I decided to start something of my own, building for a large market like cricket and building the game which is unlike anything else that's there on the market, something that can reach 1 billion people, was what got me. Okay, let's take that plunge, and we teamed up with my co-founder Kirti, and then we built Hitwicket.
Right. So, the fact, like you said, cricket is almost a religion in India and a lot of huge fans. But given that, obviously it's a very active market, a lot of cricket apps and games and things like that. So, what is it that differentiates Hitwicket?
Correct. I would say that's a unique insight about what motivates a cricket fan, right? When you're watching a sport of cricket, the reason why cricket is so sticky is even after the match is over, people are endlessly debating about it. How the team should have approached the innings, who should have played, who should be in the lineup, and all. This is what makes cricket uniquely sticky, right? Even though it's a very fairly complex sport compared to a football or something, this stickiness is what we wanted to capture via our game, right? End of the day, a game needs to be built for the fan, and this is what, if that is what the fan likes, build a game which is not just about hitting the ball. It's about team selection, it's about building your lineup, it's about setting whether you want to attack or defend and things like that. And that is what we have captured in Hitwicket, and that's why, like, I'm very happy to say that there is no product like ours in our market, even though there are hundreds of cricket games in the world.
Okay, right. So, can you give us a sense of the numbers at this point in time? What is the scale of the usage of the app?
Right. Today we have close to 6 million users across 100 countries. And today we are rated 4.6. We are the highest rated cricket game on both Android and iOS. People spend 42 minutes on our game every day, which is like super high. And 19% of our users are women, which is one of the highest for any sports game. And this is where that accessibility of the game really comes to the forefront, right? Today we have 10-year-olds to 60-year-olds who play our game, and this is the kind of target audience that actually follows cricket, right? You literally have grandfathers and grandsons debating and watching cricket together, and now they can play hit wicket together.
Right. So if you had to explain to somebody who's a gaming fan, somebody who's a cricket fan, and sort of, tell them to try out Hitwicket, what would be your pitch?
Right. Hit wicket is a game where you are the owner, coach, and captain of a virtual cricket team. Anything that you see the IPL owners doing, which means buying players, selling players, choosing whom you need in your team, right? That is the role of the owner. And as the coach, you are selecting who should be trained, who should be molded into the next big opener, who should be molded into a finisher. That's the role of a coach. And the role of the captain is to decide who should bat where, should you attack, should you defend. And in hit wicket, you get to do all that. You are the Superman of your cricket team.
Right. In fact, I was reading a review, of Hitwicket, and I found this one line quite interesting that it creates a gaming experience that translates not just the bowling and batting elements, but also strategic elements of the game, which is what you were saying is your competitive edge essentially from the rest of the games in the market.
Absolutely. We are a strategy based cricket game, and that is what we feel captures cricket at its core essence. Cricket is a strategy game, always has been, and that's what makes it sticky, and that's what we have captured.
In terms of financials, what can you tell me? What are your revenue streams at the moment? Any numbers you can provide, and also what about fundraising?
Got it. So today we are the only ad-free cricket game in the market because our core belief has always been that create a world-class user experience. Create that fantastic experience such that users feel that, hey, this is great content and I don't mind spending for it just like you would spend for a Netflix, right? And our monetization is based on in-app purchases. You can play the game forever for free and compete, build the best possible team without spending. But if you want to accelerate your progress, you can make in-app purchases to get different kinds of players, get upgrade material for your players, etc. And we raised $3 million from prime venture partners about 2 years back. And yeah, that's kind of been our main fundraiser.
Right. I was also reading you've got Harsha Bhogle now as a strategic investor. How does that really help having a name like him to be on board and as a strategic investor?
Yes. Harsha stands for three things in our opinion. One is cricket, other is global, third thing is strategy. And these are the three pillars on which we have built Hitwicket as well. And we've always, ever since we conceptualized Hitwicket, we've always envisioned Harsha Bhogle as our ideal person who can give us this right kind of approach for a product like ours, right? And yeah, having him on board, creating co-creating content with us, where we are capturing the finer nuances of cricket and making cricket strategy accessible to the common man, is what we both are working towards.
Right. What is the process that you use to constantly enhance, add new features to the game? How is that entire process?
We are heavily driven by the community. We have a super active user community who are constantly talking on Discord. Cricket is sticky, gaming is sticky. Imagine combining the two and how chatty users tend to get, right? And we are constantly in touch with users, hearing their feedback. We have a group of elder users who we have a direct access to hear feedback. What are the pain points? What is it that they wish we did more of and all? That becomes part of our roadmap. And we also look at how gaming is evolving as a sector itself, right? How media and entertainment is evolving itself, right? And we factor that into our roadmap as well. And we are constantly iterating. We know we have achieved a certain level of success, but we want to be one of the best in the world, which means that a constant and relentless iterations. And we want to be the first world-class game to be built out of India.
That brings me to my next question. What's the long-term vision for Hitwicket?
Yep. We want to be the one of the we want to be the number one game for cricket, the game for cricket that from 10-year-olds to 60-year-olds have at least tried our game. Right? This is what's going to make us a household brand across a billion people. Right? Building a creative product, building a B2C product from India to the world. Not too many have done that, and that is what inspires us, and that's our aspiration.
Okay. In terms of AI, now obviously with the advent of AI, how do you see that kind of collaboration coming in? Do you see space for utilizing AI to sort of better the user experience, other aspects of the app?
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
one of the great things that Gen AI does is it helps your team punch harder, right? One person, instead of creating one piece of artwork, now you're able to do multiple in the same amount of time and to get more creative with what you're doing, right? Particularly for a creative industry like gaming, this is almost like a godsend, right?
Hmm.
So much more easier for us to design and develop concepts very fast and iterative and move things faster. And we have already started incorporating Gen AI inside our game production cycle, and it's already leading to a good user receptivity of what we are doing. They're surprised by how much we are able to do with such a small team.
Right. Kashyap, you also had the opportunity to meet Tim Cook. What can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, it was a fantastic meeting Tim Cook. Like, finally, we have always thought like, okay, we should think global, we should think global. And to actually meet one of those biggest global leaders in the world was like a dream come true. And we've always, Apple and Steve Jobs, that design thinking, that focus on quality and design process has always been something we have spoken about a lot within our team. Hey, this is how we should think, this is what we should do. When we actually got to meet him, we showed the game to him. It's the first cricket game that he had ever seen, and he commented, "Okay, yeah, the creative and design looks really good." We're like, "Whoa, okay, now this is one of the best things around." And we told our team about it. Super excited. We got him to actually play our game. Like the first time when we were thinking of demoing the game, his team actually said, "Maybe you should play and show it to him." Right? They didn't think it was possible for him to play. But when I got his team to play the game, they're like, "Hey, this is so simple to play. I think you should ask him to play." And he actually played, and I was like, wow, he had moments of delight while playing, and it was a fantastic experience.
I can imagine. Kashyap, what would you say has been the most challenging aspect of this entire entrepreneurial journey and building Hitwicket?
Right. So building any startup is hard, and particularly so when it comes to building a gaming company, because suddenly, apart from tech and product and growth, you suddenly have art, 2D, 3D, and game design as other verticals where you need to excel as a team, right? And now these are verticals which most tech startups today in India don't have to tackle. And there's not been a large ecosystem of success in these departments. So we had so much trouble finding talent, and we started grooming talent on our own, creating playbooks for ourselves in order to build things up. So 0 to 1 was just in terms of the company, 0 to 1 even in terms of talent development had to be done in several departments, and that's where we've been patiently building up our core skill. And yeah, I think now we are at a stage where we can say yes, we know how to execute these things.
Right. And what would be your one piece of advice to upcoming entrepreneurs who possibly want to get into this specific space?
I think the key is to ship it and get user feedback in as quickly as possible. Particularly with any creative endeavor like gaming, the idea in your head is super exciting. You feel that this is the best thing that can ever come up, right? But you are building for the user. And the sooner you are able to put it in front of the user and hear the feedback and then iterate from that, the better. And not only should you do your first prototype super fast, you should continuously go with the assumption that I am going to keep on iterating, because games of today are no longer simple. They are like at a level where no user is satisfied. The user doesn't care whether you build it out of a garage or you are one of the largest gaming studios in the world. He sees two app icons on the Play Store. Can you build a product which is better than the best gaming studios in the world? That's all the user cares about. So the bar is super high. Iterate fast, iterate as much as you can.
And one more question, Kashyap, actually, do you ever see Hitwicket going beyond the app scale and perhaps, to a different kind of immersive experience in the future?
Absolutely. See, we are at the intersection of gaming and cricket,
Hmm.
right? And cricket is all around us. It's offline. It's existed for decades offline, right? And our goal has not just to be the game is only first piece of the puzzle. The game is going to be the starting point where we diverge into a platform and an ecosystem for a cricket fan. That is what we see ourselves with esports coming in, with a creator content network coming in, with franchises coming in, and all. That is the big picture for us going across the next 10 years.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us, Kashyap.
Thank you, Avni. Pleasure talking to you. Thanks.